We have a fantastic presentation by HPE Aruba. Some manufacturers need an introduction and some don't. And I have a feeling we've all heard of HPE Aruba. And we have Brianna here today who's going to give a presentation. So let's give her a round of applause, please.
Well, thank you so much. We're so excited to be here at KIS's Customer Appreciation event. Sorry about that. And I'm thankful because I'm going to be working in this space. I'm going to get to know a lot of you very soon, and I'm getting to know a new team. And they have just been outstanding to work with. I have today with me Solutions Engineer Stephanie Ellie, and she's going to cover some of our solutions as well. So we're going to kind of break it up, and we hope that we make it dynamic for you and interesting. And we're going to do basically a high-level overview of some of our solutions today. So thank you for joining us. So today we're going to cover Aruba's uniquely relevant solutions, and we're supporting customer-driven business outcomes. So we want to focus on your use cases and everything that you need to be successful. So I'll start out. I know he mentioned that everybody knows about Aruba networks, but there might be some things you don't know about Aruba, so I hope that you don't mind. I'm going to introduce just some fun facts for you today. So Aruba was founded in 2002, so this year marks our 20th year, so we're excited about that. Aruba was acquired by Hewlett-Packard in 2015, and then we acquired our SD-WAN, software-defined WAN solution in 2019, and that is our fabric. That company was called Silver Peak, and we have since relabeled it Edge Connect. Our headquarters is located here in the Bay Area in San Jose, California, and we serve regions all over the world. As you can see, we're an international company, and we have 7,000 employees. So when I first started working here, and when I was a partner of Aruba and recruited, I loved this about Aruba, that we truly believe, and this is our mantra, and this is our culture: customer first, customer last. That's very important to us. The customer is always right, like Burger King used to say, right? That's their slogan. Aruba's mission statement. So at Aruba, our mission is to deliver innovative solutions that power amazing customer experiences and drive business outcomes at the edge. So I'm going to go over our 18-year journey just a little bit with all of you. So in 2002, so that was our infancy, we introduced next-gen Wi-Fi. So today, I don't know if you know about this, but 2 years ago, we were the very first manufacturer in our industry to introduce Wi-Fi 6E. And just recently, we introduced Open Locate. So this is true GPS on your access points throughout your network. And so this is groundbreaking. It's really going to help solve IT problems and help you understand exactly where the root cause is. And then, of course, as everything kind of evolved, we have BYOD and guest access, because everybody has 2 or 3 now. I think they're estimating 5 devices per person. And so the network has to have the bandwidth and the security to handle all of those bring your own devices into your network. From there, we went into location services. So we have a really neat solution. We're not going to cover it today, but it's called Meridian. And Meridian, with an application, can give you turn-by-turn directions within a building. Disney World uses it. A lot of our airports that we work with are using this. And we have casinos right now looking at this feature, and you're able to reserve a blackjack table, and it gives you turn-by-turn directions on how to get there. So together with the network and our Meridian solution and an application developer, you can have your own custom solution, and you just really help with customer satisfaction. And we also introduced dynamic segmentation, which is a really big deal. So this allows you to optimize the performance of your network by properly tunneling different applications, prioritizing different applications, prioritizing role-based users and so forth, and building policies around that. Then we introduced cloud networking and edge switching. Now our cloud networking is beyond anything you've ever seen, so I really challenge all of you, if you haven't taken a look at our central, please do. When I say this, I truly mean this. It's as sophisticated as Cisco, it's as user intuitive as Meraki, and then we add the icing on the cake, and that's our AI, our artificial intelligence. And it is just doing things I often use the example of the Matrix, how the artificial intelligence is taking over the world. Don't be scared, ours isn't doing that yet, but it is using some serious analytics in the background to solve issues that you're facing today. And we have a big user base of about 100,000 people that we're pulling this data, we're pulling this telemetry, and we're using this to build algorithms and solve problems today. So Central, you have to take a look at it, especially now when it's really hard to find qualified people to manage your network. And last but not least, and this is because we continue to grow, and now we're pretty much everywhere. I think you've seen, we should have a logo slide, we don't have one today, but we're in so many enterprise accounts, we're in many cities, counties, we're in the Department of Defense right now, so data center switching was just a natural segue for us. So Aruba, we didn't place #1 in all 6 use cases this year with the Gartner quadrant, but we did in 2019 and 2020. And we are the first in our industry to ever have done that. And we have been in the leaderboard, so we've been recognized as a leader by those that are qualified to make that determination for the last 15 years. And so I think that this shows that our products do what they say, that we're innovative, and that our research and development is taking us to places that we need to be. We're relevant to your business use cases today. So now I'm going to dive into Aruba Edge Services Platform. And this is our next generation cloud native architecture that enables you to accelerate digital business transformation through automated network management, edge to cloud security, and predictive AI powered insights up to 95% accuracy. So why do businesses need Aruba? Well, the pace of change is accelerating. I think we can all agree with that. So we have to keep up with the digital transformation that's happening today. And we have to survive and thrive. So business must continue to adapt and innovate. And as business modernizes, the network must transform too, so it needs to be flexible, scalable. And the use of IoT or Internet of Things and those types of sensors, they're dramatically increasing and they're causing security breaches and all of those things, so we need to be able to recognize, be aware, and know how to adapt. So what's needed today? So foundation flexibility is one, device awareness is another, and automation. And our solution does all three of these things very well. So we have a best-in-class Wi-Fi and wired WAN infrastructure. We have modern software, and that architecture is built in and for now and future needs, because we're always trying to upgrade our technology and come up with the greatest and the best. We have management services that, again, are very intuitive, and again, I really challenge you to take a look at our central management solution that's a single pane of glass. And we have financial and operational options, and so a lot of our customers today are looking at network as a service. It's a trend, it's starting to become very popular, and again, this is because it's hard to find qualified people to fill the shoes, and so a lot of our IT departments are very slim. Device awareness. So with some of our solutions, especially our ClearPass solution, when you're plugging in IT devices into the network, you can see and recognize anything that's plugging into your network. We have our edge services for latency optimization, performance optimization, and our software-defined WAN really helps you accomplish this. And this is another very user-intuitive solution. We have counties that are putting full data centers into play after they've devised the first one. They're replicating that, and they're doing this in a matter of 11 minutes. And we have end-to-end security, so zero trust, and my lovely co-host here is going to cover that in depth, so I'm not going to steal her thunder. And then automation, so zero-touch provisioning. Once you configure a like device, then you can plug in another, and it just configures it exactly the same way as you specified. You can always make changes as needed. And we have the built-in artificial intelligent operations, and that's for, we're modernizing IT management today. So again, when I talk about the data lake of users, we have 100,000 clients, and we're pulling that data, and we're fixing problems, and we're building algorithms to reduce those problems, reduce the time to find the problems. And then we also have our enterprise orchestration and analytics. And that's really just taking your applications and prioritizing them by role, by priority, and making sure that everything flows properly for optimization. So the pillars of Aruba. So we have three, and so they're going to be zero trust security, unified infrastructure, and AI ops. So starting with AI ops, we have our artificial intelligence, we have machine learning and data analytics built into our network, our solutions. So it's like you have a network engineer on duty for 24/7 basically. And AI ops can help predict or identify network issues before they impact users. Our zero trust security, again, my beautiful co-host is going to go into that next, but that is one of our pillars. So it's going to allow you role-based access to the network to secure your wired and wireless networks, as well as you're able to introduce features like dynamic segmentation to properly tunnel different applications and security for the same. And then dynamic segmentation introduces colorless ports. And colorless ports, to give you like an example, it would be as if you're plugging a TV or a hairdryer into a 100-watt outlet. And it doesn't care what's plugging in, it's just going to give you the ample power to support that device. Well, the same thing should happen when you plug into the network. And then it should go back to a blank status when you're done. And that's what our colorless port says for you. And then we have unified infrastructure. So ESP is managed by Aruba Central, and I've talked about it a lot, sorry about that. We do have a cloud-based and on-prem version of the same, and it is a true single pane of glass. And all of these solutions that we have that complement this can be added to the portal, can be added to the dashboard. So right now, the statistics say that about 85% of IT departments are managing 4 or more solutions for their network. What if we made it just one, right? So introducing Aruba ESP. So connectivity, so what does that mean? Cloud native services are deployed either in the cloud or on-prem, and they deliver solutions to integrate setup, config, and manage. A single point of visibility and control with Aruba Central. Another plug, right? Policy. So policies will keep your business and customer patient data safe by limiting network access based on role and policy and detailed device profile information. So even for headless IoT devices, you can apply edge to cloud security today with our solutions. And last but not least, services. So the conventional way of managing a network infrastructure, it's just too dependent on scarce IT resources at this point, right? It's hard for us to find people that are qualified. So manual processes are required to set up, configure, and optimize edge networks. Services such as zero trust provisioning will help to cut down the time, network orchestration, and analytics, and then enable IT directors with the tools that they need to successfully and efficiently manage any network. So I've kind of covered this, it's kind of redundant, but these are the tools that we utilize to connect, protect, analyze, act, and accelerate your network. Network as a service is, again, a trend that's kind of breaking through. And what I love, I talked to the network as a service guru for our company, and he mentioned a very important point. So when you choose Aruba for your network as a service, and it's customizable, so it can be network infrastructure, it can be software, it can be that we offer our white glove services, and when you choose us, the risk now is on Aruba, because you're leasing the equipment if you're going with the hardware solution. You're paying a monthly service, you're signing a contract, and we're trying to prove to you why you need to sign another contract with us. If you purchase CapEx, then at that point you are in charge, you have to make sure that the system's up and running, and it's just a lot of pressure and extra stress on you and your IT team. So again, you pay as you go. It's outcome oriented, it's custom designed around your business needs. And then this is just going into our central cloud portfolio and all that it manages. So it's cloud native or on-prem, so either or. It's remote. We have branch, campus, and data center options, so we're very scalable. We complement and integrate well with Microsoft Azure and AWS, and so many others. Most of our solutions that I've mentioned today were developed by other companies, and they are agnostic, so they're not developed just for Aruba products. And we love that about Aruba, is that we give you the option to be flexible in what your decision is moving forward with your network. And then we have deployment flexibility, so you can go cloud on-prem, and then think about managed network as a service as another option for deployment. And this is also a service that can be offered through your MSP. So KIS can offer this as well. You can all decide that it's best to go through HP, but KIS is also able to offer this managed service, and they do a wonderful job. So we have network analytics and AI-powered automation through onboarding, provisioning, orchestration, and AI ops. We have built-in security through our unified threat management, authentication, and continuous monitoring. And then here at the bottom, you see our unified infrastructure. And again, everything integrates and works from a single pane of glass. But those are our APs. You see our data center switches, standard edge switches. And then in the corner there, we're going to cover that today. That's one of our UXI sensors, and that manages and monitors the health of your network. And without further ado, my counterpart here is going to cover Aruba Zero Trust Protection. And thank you very much.
Thanks, Dan. So hi, I'm Stephanie Ellie. I'm a channel enablement engineer for Aruba. I've been with Aruba for about 9 years, and I wanted to give you just a short story about myself because Brianna talked about our inception, and that was wireless. And so a lot of people think about Aruba and they think wireless. And when I was looking for a new position, I've been looking for 6 months. I knew that the industry was changing. I knew that looking at sniffer packets was not going to be the be-all, end-all anymore with applications on our networks. We needed some computer analytics and some AI to understand what's happening on our networks. And when Aruba called me, I'm like, no, I don't want to go there. But I always give everybody a chance, and I took that call, and I looked online, and I started reading about their product, and I was really misinformed. And I learned that Aruba's really a security solutions company. They started with wireless and some switching with firewalls on there. Their role-based access, it was really exciting. What they were doing and where they were going with the cloud and what they had with their on-prem solution, I was blown away. So almost 10 years later, here I am. So when we talk about zero trust protection, am I loud enough? Am I okay? I feel really loud. Am I good? Okay. So when we talk about zero trust protection, we're talking about zero trust of anything on the network. These threats that we've seen can come from inside and outside, not necessarily that you have bad actors in your network, but their devices could be infected or compromised. Right? So we don't trust devices, we don't trust users, and we don't trust network segments. No longer do we have the voice, video, and data and yes to be man. We use them because we had to use them, we had nothing else. VLANs are not inherently secure. So when we look at zero trust, we want to know what's on our network. So we want full visibility. We want to be able to control authentication, get people on securely. We want to be able to give them just enough access so that they can get their work done, but we don't want to give them too much access. If you don't need access to the build servers, if you're in finance, you shouldn't have access to that. If you're in finance, you should have access to the finance servers, and if you're in engineering, you shouldn't, right? So, and then finally, we want to continuously monitor this information. So if something should change in your network or with a user, we want to know about it, and we want to be able to remediate that. And I'm going to add one more thing here on zero trust. I'm going to say it's not enough to get people on the network. What is their digital experience once they're on there? And how can we validate that? Because if you can get on the network, but it's a poor experience, then it doesn't really matter, does it? So let's talk about one of the 3 steps. and that is understanding what's on your network. Now, this is ClearPass Device Insight. It is part of our security solution. It is a standalone product or can integrate into the next product I'm going to talk about. So if you just want to know what's on your network, and that's it, that's fine. That's perfectly the beginning step, right? It is AI powered. We have a collector, it could be a VM or an appliance on site, and it sends the information to the cloud. It's not just the collector that will get information, it's completely vendor agnostic, but if you have an Aruba solution, we're gonna send information from the access points in our switches as well. So if you don't have an Aruba infrastructure, like Brianna said, we want to be flexible. This completely vendor agnostic, you can use it in your network. And what it does is it's gonna look at the information that it sees on the network for a device. And what that means is if we have something like this, we might not get a lot of information. SNMP walk, or just, if you're looking at the Mac, we know it's a generic device. We might not even know who the vendor is from. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna get some information, DHCP information, traffic that it's sending, really important. We're gonna send all the information that we get up into the cloud. We're gonna analyze it. Some of the information we know, we can quickly identify those devices. Some products we don't know, and that's where the AI and the machine learning come in. There's also a crowdsourcing feature that you can opt in on this, so that if you have discovered something, you can report it back to Aruba, and we can, sorry, I'm cutting in and out, and we can validate that and then put it into the product in the next release. So we'll group those products by what we see, whether they're identified or no. And then we do that deep packet inspection, so we have that metadata for that product. What it looks like when you apply it, so when we apply the deep packet inspection and everything that we just talked about to this generic device, we can learn that it's a Windows device, but not just that. We learn that it's an access device, and it's an access security camera, and what type of security camera. So we can make policies around that and remediate if we want to, right? Now this is a screenshot of what it would look like from the web application. And you can see some things like, when we first saw it, you can see the IP address, but you can also create, there's so much more here, like location and attributes, and we're not showing. But you can also identify a risk score for it. So you can say, oh, is this a device that authenticates? No, then that risk score gets higher, right? Is this a device that, has to access servers? Maybe in your environment, that risk score gets higher. So we can create a risk score on these devices and categorize them any which way you want. So you know everything on your network now, whether it authenticates or not. What do we do with that information? That's where the role-based policy manager comes in. It's part of the ClearPass family of security, just like Device Insight. ClearPass Policy Manager has a mini Device Insight on it. It's called ClearPass Insight, but it only looks at authenticated users, so that's really important to know. When we use these together, though, it's very powerful. So as users come onto the network, we're going to discover who they are and what they are with the Device Insight. And we're going to exchange that information with ClearPass Policy Manager. And as ClearPass Policy Manager gets that information about those devices, we can even work with our 150 plus business partners to get more information from Microsoft, from other integrations, and apply those devices. And then we create an identity and a context for devices, users, and how they get on the network and what access they should get. So the policy manager is where sort of the magic happens with access and remediation. It could either be a standalone one unit device, or you can use a VM. And At its base, we have the onboard, so certificate handling, so we can push down certificates, we can revoke certificates, on guard, which is our posture assessment. And as we kind of discussed, we have the policy, we have the third-party integrations, of course we have some excellent reporting. But what's really exciting is our guest, and our guest access is surprisingly our largest deployment with ClearPass. It's very popular and it's very customizable. So you can either have users create their own logins or you can have them use their social network login. So a lot of different ways you can slice and dice this. And what's also nice about this is if you have a lobby ambassador, they can have their own login to manage users. And as compared to the admin, where they would go in and make configurations. So you don't have to give full access or complicated access to your lobby ambassador. They can go in and handle that. And in fact, at Aruba, I would handle once a year a huge event for our partners. All over, it was a global event, and I would give the information for all the attendees to the lobby ambassadors, and I never worried about it again. She handled all the access, they got their access in advance, they got their access for the entire time they were there, and they just walked in the door, they didn't have to key in anything, they just said, here's your badge, and they're in the door. So very powerful tool, and strangely enough, that's our largest deployment. But those folks who have deployed guests, they don't realize the power of it, and they end up deploying the other policy manager options. So we talked a little bit about context. So it's not just about enterprise devices and BYOD. We have HVAC, IoT, temperature gauges, video cameras, keyboards. Now I'm even hearing about AI shredders and all sorts of things on the network that we have to manage. So when we talk about context, we want to apply things such as, is Stephanie allowed into this network at all times, no matter where she is? If I'm at a remote site, can I get the same access that I do when I'm at corporate? Maybe you don't want that. Maybe if I'm traveling to another country, you're going to cut my access. I'm only going to get limited access. Possibly at different parts of the building, I'm going to get different access, different times of the day. So we can determine all of that. We can also see that my behavior has changed. So if my behavior changes, we can remediate, and we'll talk a little bit about that right now. Dynamic segmentation, it's anything from just simple as colorless ports, as Brianna was talking about. So doesn't matter what you plug in, it's going to identify what that product is and push down a policy to that port. So you don't have to say these blue ports, 1 through 4 are the blue ports are the networking ports, and these are the IoT ports. You don't have to do that anymore. And it can go all the way to role-based access. It can be very granular, as we've been discussing. And in fact, when I first started at Aruba, I went up to Alaska, and a partner there, a guy was doing a presentation sort of like this, and a partner got up and he said, ClearPass is the panacea. Not sure if it's the panacea, but he believes it is, because he said he got rid of 40,000 access lists in his network, and I've never forgotten it. That's a lot of maintenance. It's a lot to maintain and a lot to go wrong should you change something. So how does this work sort of at the high level? Users come on the network, devices come on the network, and we're going to look at them. We're going to see them through Device Insight or through ClearPass Policy Manager. And we're going to look at the traffic and the applications that they're running on your network. And with that information, we're going to apply them a role, a context identity, and we're going to block or allow access. And it should something change, like I mentioned, because we're dynamically checking, they can go ahead and remediate based on policy that you've set up. So if they've seen that I've logged in here in California, but maybe I'm also logged in Boston, that's impossible for me to be in 2 places at once. They can remediate my access. Maybe I'm logging in, maybe I never log in at midnight. Suddenly I'm on campus at midnight. What's up with that? They can block my access automatically. This is not something where you have to go in and make a configuration change in an access list. This is based on policy. So we've got people securely on the network. What's my experience, right? So here's where Aruba's user experience insights comes in. This acts like a client on the network. This is from the client's point of view. So we've been talking about the network point of view. From ClearPass, we could see the radius authentication. We can look at traffic between the client and the server. What we're looking at here is completely the user experience. So, you know, if you're not monitoring the user experience, there's a huge loss and a huge opportunity there. So, you know, employees are dissatisfied. When you hear there's a problem with the wireless, right? How long does that persist? Forever. Even if the wireless is still working, it might not even be the wireless. It could be your DHCP server is down. True story. It's still the wireless's fault, right? So employee dissatisfaction. Also in retail, if customers can't use their loyalty, they can't search, they can't purchase or drop things in their bag. I've done it. They don't have my size. I get online, beep, boop, bop, I'm done. I've ordered it. It's, you know, it's coming. And also, we're seeing a huge loss of up to 4K a day in some industries. And then finally, who manages all of this? The IT department. They are a small staff, and they're spending their time being reactive instead of proactive, working on projects. They're now troubleshooting. So how can we help them and create a better experience? So when you install something like this, it's so easy. I love this product. It onboards like a user. So it'll come onto your network, onboard just like a regular old user. Once it's on the network though, it's gonna start running its test. It's gonna start onboarding onto other networks that you've configured, wired or wireless, it doesn't matter. It can log into a web portal page. It can actually start testing applications and URLs. So we can actually go to your URL, have that page load, and then screen scrape for a particular phrase. And should we see that phrase, then we're good to go. That's a successful test. What's great about it is the actionable insights. So a lot of times I started in tech support. They would say, well, this problem just started happening. And I look in the logs, no, it's been going on for like, you know, a couple months, a couple weeks, a couple days. It's just now being recognized, right? So we hold a 30-day history of this information, but it'll actually show you exactly where the problem started. And it'll give you a PCAP server trace if you want to do something like that as well. So you can do troubleshooting. Very easy UI. So if you're looking at the GUI, you can see the performance is good. There's a little smiley face. And if it's sad, if it's bad, there's a frowny face. So very simple. And you can drill in and get more information. This is just the main dashboard. So just kind of to summarize, you know, we're looking at this analytics-powered cloud program. Very easy to understand, totally from the client point of view, right? And then that for me, the automatic triage to root cause and the PCAP file is huge. Sometimes you don't have an opportunity to get on site to look at that information, and I know KIS is amazing. Like when I spoke to customers of KIS last year, they're like, they handle everything for us. But this is fabulous just to know for your own peace of mind, and as well for them, that they're able to remotely look and see exactly what's going on. Where does it fit into ESP and security? Well, you know, we're looking at act and analyze. So we want to be able to identify, are our security policies working? Is that zero trust authentication, how is that impacting our network? And then, of course, if you do have an Aruba environment, we offer more. So, of course, there's more hooks into the Aruba. But what I really want to talk about instead of that is that this is completely vendor agnostic. All three products I'm talking about today can help secure your network right now. So if you just want to know what's on your network, you can use Device Insight. If you want to remediate and apply policy, that's Policy Manager. If you want to know what your clients are experiencing, we're looking at UXI. So you just place one for every 5 to 10 APs at the client level, so where you do your work, connect it to power, and get online. That's it. The support for this is amazing. They're so wonderful. I love working with their support team. Instant gratification. You just type and they retype back. And then we have a new feature I'm really excited about. We have some enhanced reporting that's coming out. So whether you're an admin or whether you want to see that at a higher level, you want to promote that up to your executive staff. This is really great for SLAs and just understanding what's changed in your network and how things have changed over time. So I want to thank you on behalf of Brianna and myself and KIS Technologies to allow us to come here and speak with you. We're right over here at the Aruba booth. Thank you very much for your time and then enjoy your lunch.